Hello, my name is Frances Fox, and I'm here as a trained remote viewer, a psychic that's been trained in all the psychic abilities. I have superpowers, which was the intention of the secret program that I was put in. The main superpower that you might find most interesting is the power of induction, which means that when you're in your energy field, in my energy field, whether it's in a chat, on a phone call, physically, your psychic abilities augment. I have also learned how to heal hundreds of people at a time. I am so proud of that. I made that decision 30 some years ago, and I have achieved it. It was my intention to do what I saw a guru do in a room full of 500 people. And I decided I wanted to do that myself, and I am actually doing that. So I think I'm going to go ahead and give you healings every time I do this chat for you to experience it, not for you to leave saying how fabulous I am, but for you to say, wow, superpowers exist. Why can't I have them? You can have them. The same way I saw that guru 30 some years ago, and I went, I want to do that, and I'm doing it. So let's go ahead and let's look at the map. Whoa, this is good. Okay, well, I don't have it up on a clipboard, but we can see it like this. We have at least a triple protection from the Galactic Federation. Plus, we have, and I have to find a name for it. This is an encapsulating the United States and all of its territories, by the way, um, to create an individual reality. For the first time on planet Earth, maybe about 10 years ago, it started that we will not all have the same reality. There will be a division, but that was talked about in the Bible. The Mayans talked about it, about the people, human beings dividing into two groups. Some are going to go up, some are going to go down. That's happening pretty concretely today. So we have this that creates this separate reality. So if something happens, somebody detonates a nuclear bomb or something really awful happens, it won't affect the United States at this point. Now, remember that the map yesterday or the day before, who knows, 17th is yesterday, we had a break here, which in the Bagua map, oh, it's reversed here. Helpful friends. Oh, darn, I need to figure that out. Some things that are easy for all of you guys are really difficult for me. When you're multidimensional, there's certain things that get... So, we had a break yesterday. And today, it's fixed. I think there's a little, what do you call them? The little elves that are up all night for Christmas. I think there must be little elves out there clearing the things that I'm putting on the maps. Okay. So we have triple protection, Galactic Federation. We have this incredible protection of a separate reality. And what does it have a note here? Oh, interesting. Issues going on with Russia. And it turns out that there was a phone call this afternoon that I missed. I didn't, but I understand it was very successful, but I was not aware of that. And then I went ahead. This is what came through. And then the next comment, which is the enemies have nothing to do with Russia, are backing off to regroup. That makes sense because they're certainly not winning right now. So what is it that's going on that I can help with, that I can help you to understand? We have the issue going on with Tesla. People directing their hate at Tesla, which doesn't make absolutely any sense because apparently we're all going to get a very nice size check from the government because of what Elon is finding and is able to save the country. But the issue is really not that. And this is where you really honestly need to figure this out. Nick, this is not the appropriate place to ask me. Why don't you go ahead and send me an email? And it doesn't help me at all that you have a little monkey as your icon, because it's almost like I should not take you seriously. Okay, so you figure that one out. So we have an issue on the planet that you call global warming. Basically, it's an excess of the fire element. What does that mean? Reality is created by reconfiguring the elements of fire, earth, water, air. Chinese medicine, they also have the other element, which is really akasha. And the elements for us to be healthy have to be balanced. When you go to a Chinese doctor, an Ayurvedic doctor, they won't talk to you about that. But they are looking to balance your elements, and they will know which element is out of control, which is too low, which is too high. They won't discuss that with you either, because you don't have the baseline information. I don't either. I have had to learn this on my own, because having a conversation with somebody who's actually working with the elements doesn't help, because the information is very theoretical, where it's really not that theoretical. The planet has to be balanced. We don't have a balance. We have an excess of fire. Okay, what's the characteristics of excessive fire? Anxiety, insomnia. Insomnia is because there's too much fire. You're too jumpy. You can't fall asleep. So when is it that it turned out that nobody can get a decent night's sleep? About 20 or 30 years ago? 20 years ago? Before that, insomnia was something very unusual. It's not today, but that's because of the excess fire. I'm not here just to educate on that. I'm here to try to help you figure out what it is that's going on, and then you can determine what you want to do about it. And I will probably have some suggestions about that, but at least you know what's going on. So, excess fire element, which is hitting us all, anxiety, frustration, anger, irritability, hatred, emotional violence, physical violence, murder, suicide. Suicide is when you are very angry, you can't do anything about it, and you turn that fire against yourself. What's going on with Tesla? What's going on with Tesla is that people are frustrated. People are angry, and it has nothing to do with Tesla. It has to do with the excess fire element. Now, because there's a gap between, they call them the oligarchs. That's so funny. Very wealthy people, and then the not so wealthy people. Remember that gap? That's where the bad spirits play. So the bad spirits can play on the issue of people that don't have as much, getting angry at those that have more. The whole hierarchy thing. But the level of the anger has to do with the excess of the fire. So Elon can manage to get us all this money, including as much as he has, which of course is not going to happen, but it won't take care of the issue of the excess fire. It'll take care of the issue of there not being a gap, but then it won't take care of the issue of the excess fire. We have to deal with the excess fire. Now, the interesting thing, and I'm going to say the story again, I had an Ayurvedic doctor live with me for several months, many years ago, decades ago. He didn't have a place to stay. I met him at a party. I actually knew the people who gave the party. They said, my God, he's so nice. He's a doctor. He needs a place to stay. So I said, you know what? He can move in. I had already determined a week before, because my housekeeper had left, that I wanted a male to move in that was not gay, but that he would not be like a boyfriend. Where did I come up with that? I don't know where I came up with it, but that's what I told my daughter. She said, get another housekeeper, live-in housekeeper. No, I think I want a male to move in, but not gay, but not my mate. I don't know. I guess I wanted to feel male energy in the house. I don't know. Anyway, he moved in. I learned so much. So anyway, at some point I had an appointment with him for my health. And at some point in the appointment, he said, I should get a painting or a photograph of a beach scene and put it in my living room. He didn't explain. I assume, because he lived with me, that maybe he was questioning my art, my decorating, even though he was totally not into any of that. But I assumed that that was what it was, that he was contributing to the beauty of my apartment. It wasn't until years later that I realized that you can get the elements simply with a photograph, because the intention of the elements is captured by that photograph. That's how they do black magic, but we'll talk about that later. So he wanted me to augment water in my life. And I'm a water sign, and I was really frustrated. That's when I was starting to have all the memories of the mind control stuff and the tortures and the rapes. Oh my God, I needed to put out that fire. I didn't even know that I had that fire. I was a raging bitch. Oh no, but I didn't have a lot of fire. Yes, I did. Directed it at the wrong people, which is what's happening. So he was telling me, but without explaining that I needed water in my life. He wasn't going to send me to the beach. The easiest thing is get a picture on your wall. I'm telling you guys, get a picture on your wall. And I also want to tell you guys that you should start augmenting your creative visualization, your ability to imagine, because that's how you do healings. So I want you all to imagine everything in the United States or your country, or the United States and your country, or the United States and your business, or the United States and your home, or your country and your business and your whatever. You figure out, where do you need to put out fire? And I want you to visualize that that fire is underneath. I'm going to put it up right now, underneath a cascade of water. Darn. Here it is. Now, I'm going to start to train you, okay? Because I'm getting sick of the whole politics stuff. I don't want to be there forever. That's not what my job is. I've gotten in too far, but we now can do some fun stuff. So start visualizing your company, your mate. You're married to a raging bitch like I was in the 90s, and for a lot more years than that. Visualize them under cascading cold water, or visualize them inside an igloo. Now, you can watch them or even listen to them on the phone. And as you're using water in the other dimensions through visualization, through imagination, you can't say, I don't know how to visualize. It's okay. Just imagine cold water falling on top of these people or this company, or put them in an igloo. It's called the glacier technique. And basically, it's the same thing as getting the picture with all the water, the beach scene that this doctor wanted for my living room, but didn't explain it to me, so I didn't do it. Okay. So just visualize that and watch if you can do this also at a time when somebody is violent, somebody who's very angry, or somebody that's really impatient. Separate yourself a little bit and then watch them as you're visualizing them inside an igloo or underneath that water. Excuse me, have the hiccups. Watch them cool down. It's like when somebody's in a rage, if you throw a bucket of cold water on them, or just a bucket of water, if they're raging, whatever, they stop. Why do they stop? Just because that water hit their skin? Come on. The guy's ready to kill, and all of a sudden he's just like, no, you balance the elements. You did something sacred. You also did something really intelligent, because you didn't have to show your hand. You didn't have to confront somebody who was crazed. And you did it. Now, you need to practice up. Like if you're in a place in a restaurant and there's somebody fighting, just arguing, and you can tell they're like hate, just visualize them, the group, the two people, the person inside an igloo. Just keep visualizing them, and you will see it tone down, 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 down. The reason we have so many sick children today, like not the way we used to be, is because they have too much fire. When you have too much fire in your head, It is the preamble, the precursor, and the cause of mental illness. Oh, we didn't know that. Well, that's because you're limited to modern medicine, which is guaranteed to kill you. Third cause of death in the United States, I hope I'm holding up three fingers and not two, is mistakes in hospitals. Not just being in the hospital, the mistakes that they do in hospitals. So you need to widen your lens on what is health and what can help. And if you don't have the baseline, such as the elements, which is what constitutes reality, you shift the elements, you shift reality, literally, and then your energy bodies. And you don't know anything about that either. How are you going to have a grip on your health? Oh no, you just go and you turn yourself all over to a modern doctor. Good luck with that. Not this generation, the previous generation of children, or the first generation in modern history in this part of the world, where the children were less healthy than their parents. So we are going to switch that around with RFK. I am so pleased. I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased. And you will all be pleased with the results. It's not easy getting used to, such as my Ayurvedic doctor, Dr. Akhilesh Sharma, recommending a painting for my living room. I didn't understand. So maybe there's going to be a lot you don't understand. But contrary to modern medicine, where you have to go to school for 8 to 10 years, this alternative stuff is very simple. It's a lot more fun. It's totally operational. And it has thousands of years to back it up. Modern medicine is only 600 years old. And guess what? When modern medicine and science was set up 600 years ago, the Pope said, in this part of the world, scientists cannot get involved in anything that is spiritual, limited to the physical dimension. You have energy bodies. Let me show them to you. You have these energy bodies, which are not physical. Therefore, science can only touch the one all the way on the left, which is your physical. That doesn't work because where you get sick, your physical body is a manifestation of what is sick or what is well in the other dimensions. Let me take off this. That's one of our music videos, Mantrista music videos, that balances the elements. Okay, that you use when there's too much fire, which is basically for all of us because every electronic device radiates fire. So what's going on in the United States? So now we have everybody hating. Not, you know what? It's not even everybody hating. There's a few people out there that are very frustrated, and somebody threw them an excuse for somebody to be angry at. So they get angry at Tesla, and then they do what they're doing with Tesla, which I suspect isn't going to last very long because I think that our current president has been very determined to not allow people to destabilize the economy. So, in terms of you, what are you interested in? Your kids, your mate, your business, your country, your president, your representative, whoever it is. Well, now I just gave you a job. You have to, if you see that they're too frustrated, even if they don't show it on their face, but you know that they're too frustrated because they haven't been able to get the things that they should have gotten, then you need to use the glacier technique. You should also become familiar with our videos, which are free, which are on YouTube, and you should have them in your spaces. Basically, I have those videos on because I'm living in a small apartment because of my situation right now, which has nothing to do with money. I have it on in you might be able to hear one of the rooms close to here has it. And then downstairs, I have it on a huge screen TV and it's hitting all the spaces that are downstairs. So I don't have to worry about the fact that I have my Wi-Fi on 24/7. I really need to put a timer on it so that the Wi-Fi will get disconnected. I have, by the way, the Starlink, so that it gets turned off from like 1 in the morning Sometimes I watch TV till 1 in the morning until I come back from walking my dog, which would be like 9 in the morning. That's all those hours that I'm not getting that fire in my spaces. So, what can you expect when the fire is reduced? People much more pleasant, uh, less rage, less depression. Depression is anger turned inward. Anger is repressed depression. You're going to get one of the two. People are going to be less impatient. They'll actually be able to hear you. They can hear you. So, what's going on in the United States? There's too much fire. It's the whole planet. I'm talking about the United States because that's what I'm covering here for whatever reason. There's too much fire. So, if it's not Tesla and Elon Musk, it's Trump. If it's not Trump, it's going to be something else. People have too much fire and they have to direct it someplace. They have to use it up, and we cannot go to the gym enough or run enough or have enough movement to use the energy that fire gives us, which is vitality. It's too much. You can't do it. You're okay, you got too much, and then you start being anxious. Then the insomnia and the irritability and all the rest of that. So I want for you, this is your lesson in energetics. I want you to practice up recreating the reality around you, the people you deal with, or the things that are important to you, by practicing inventing, creating, visualizing, imagining. Just imagine the people or the places where there's too much irritability and you can see the people are really out of sorts, all that water. But pay attention to, before you started, to balance the elements with superpowers. Check and see what it looks like, and then keep watching or come back later and see what it looks like, how it feels, how people are behaving. You are going to be shocked at what you find. Our children and grandkids are sick because of excess fire. Our country is sick because of excess fire. And I don't see why we can't put together a program to where we have people constantly doing these visualizations, which is how you recreate reality. We can do it. You don't even need that many people. It's not like everybody has to do it. You can have one person and they can quiet an entire room, or you can quiet an entire nation. We have to figure out how to teach this to a lot of people at a time, which is not an issue. I have a group of people that follow me, and they're called the Mantrista movement. And when we started, we were mainly females, and the whole issue was our children and our children. Oh my God, our children and the kids, and oh my God, because honestly, our kids are in trouble. We don't get that anymore. We still have children. We still love our kids. We still worry, but we don't worry ourselves sick anymore. And we're not hysterical because we've got the tools. Most of the kids, of the followers that I have, and there should be thousands at this point, have those videos on in their homes 24/7 or when the children are sleeping. It's a form of protection because we've invented a creative way. And I learned that from the Dr. Akhilesh, even though he didn't show me this way. What he showed me is there's more than one way to skin a cat. And this way is easier than having to buy a painting. So we can do this, and we need to do this. So I'm a happy camper. And when you look at what the Bible said about the world dividing in two, which actually what a lot of people are saying is something that I picked up months ago, we're actually going to be dividing into three worlds. There may literally end up being 2 or 3 separate planets. In the Bible, it says that God came and lifted one from the well. Somebody else said that in the Bible, it talks about there being 2 worlds, 2 planets. I'm not sure. I know what it is that I see, but I understand a lot of other people have seen that also. This is not like a novel thing with me. And I think what we're seeing today is this division is getting deeper. There are people where things are going better. This country, everything is going, not everything, better because of revelations, planetary process, global warming, planetary process, but that you can take care of. And I think that we are looking at a gazillion frustrated people lashing out and acting out. And we need to do some damage control by rearranging or balancing the elements. We can do it. We can go do it. Autoimmune diseases always are due to self-hatred. If anybody wants to debate that, go ahead and debate it any place you want. But this is not the place to debate it because I've already looked at it. I've seen it. It's auto. You're killing your immune system. So if you have an autoimmune, and why am I getting onto autoimmune right now? I was going there for some reason. Well, let me just give you the shortcut. If you have an autoimmune disease, it doesn't really matter what it is. The mantra is the same. What does the mantra do? It liberates the mind. Your mind got all tangled up, and that's how come you have a disease, an attitude, a mood. You got to untangle that, and mantras do that. That's why they're so effective. The mantra for autoimmune is, even though I hate myself, I love and accept myself. The mantra for cancer is, even though I hate and there's nothing I can do, I love and accept myself. Cancer is not a self-hatred. Autoimmune is. Both of them are diseases of excess fire. So autoimmune diseases have to be skyrocketing. Cancer has to also be augmenting dramatically. High blood pressure is excess fire. So if we can get the fire down, we're not just going to have less people doing idiotic things. They don't know that there's cameras on the Teslas, but you know what? I have a Tesla and I wouldn't have thought of that either. I mean, I don't run around king cars, but if I was, I would not have thought, oh, they have cameras. My head would have been someplace different. When you have too much fire, your thought process, the brain, the mind, too much fire, is not working that well. So the information, I'm not so sure is going to really, I'm sure it will deter a significant amount of people that are doing damage to Teslas. But the reason that they're doing what they're doing is not because they have low IQ, it's because they have extra fire, which is why I keep saying you need a good diagnosis if you want to be able to take care of problems. You need to find out what the issue is. The issue is not Tesla. The issue is an excess fire, and it's going to come out in many different ways. And in this case, somebody decided that that would be a good place to direct extra fire at. So anyway, that gets boring. I already gave you your homework. You have to see somebody. It could be your kids fighting at the dining room table. You just sit back and visualize them in an igloo or under cascading cold water and just watch. And you'll see ba 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 going. And I will repeat the story because we're very proud of it. When Trump was impeached, there was a weekend, and I said to the Mantrista movement, it was a Saturday night. I said, let's go to Washington, D.C., create a visualization. Let's go underneath the building where they're having the impeachment. What are we seeing there and what can we do to help? We don't get involved in politics or decisions or people's minds or any of that. Well, there was too much fire under the building. Not surprising to any of us because we've done this enough. So I said, okay, so now we have to put out that fire. People pretended they had fire hoses. Other people put blocks of ice in the other dimensions, creative visualization, imagination. That's how we did it. And when we felt like we had balanced the elements enough to where there wasn't this excess fire, I said, okay, well, let's see what happens next week. Wouldn't it be sweet if we could have some kind of a feedback that what we did worked? Monday morning, like at 12, I got up on the news and I went to look at the impeachment process, which I think was being televised. I'm not sure. It must have been because The man that was running the impeachment process, who the week before was a raging maniac at how angry he was at Trump. On Monday, the guy fell asleep during the proceedings, in the middle of the proceedings, not lunch break. And I was like, oh my God, thank you, God, thank you, God, thank you. Now, you won't accept that as proof, but my group of people did. I did enough to where something else comes up and we do the same thing and it works. So you need to do it. Okay. And you don't have to go after the people that are hating Tesla because that's not the issue. Causal is extra fire. So you could have to put it on all of the country or have the intention. It'll get a little more complicated. Please, God, help me with my intention to create a miraculous purification of the hatred, of their hatred. So you can say in your head, their hatred. Who's they? If you want to protect Tesla, of the people that would be inclined to hate Tesla. You might have to do a little bit of thinking to figure out the mantra. Very little time. And how much time do you have to spend doing this creative visualization that changes reality on the physical dimension? You have to watch and see. I don't know how long we worked, half an hour, 45 minutes, underneath the building where they were having the impeachment process. We didn't know what building it was. We had the intention to go underneath the building where they were holding the impeachment. And we did it when there was no impeachment trial going on. It was a weekend. But we reduced the fire there so that when people came back on Monday, they came to a place that was relatively balanced in the elements. According to Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine that's 5,000 years old, shamanism that since the planet began, you cannot be healthy unless the elements are balanced, and you cannot get sick if the elements are balanced. Okay, there you go. You have your homework. You can do this. It's easy, and teach the children, like if you have kids that go to school, even if they're teenagers, you can tell them, listen, if you're going, try this little trick, this little technique. It's called the glacier technique. And say if you're going someplace, like let's say your teenager goes out to eat or they go to a party, and then there's a group over there is starting to get rowdy, and your kid doesn't know how bad that's going to be. Is everybody going to have to go home? Are the police going to show up? Are people going to get hurt? You just say, ask God, please, God, help me with my intention to balance the elements, or please, God, help me with my intention to reduce their fire, and then to visualize throwing ice at them. They can make it more fun, or grabbing them by the neck and dunking them in cold water in the other dimensions. Visualization, even though I wouldn't do that. That's a little bit more aggressive. It's not. Just visualize them inside an igloo without even having to touch them in the other dimensions. Or visualize the whole group that's getting rowdy cascading cold water on them, and then get back to me. And the more that you do it, the more pleased you're going to be with yourself. And you're going, God, that's a lot of power. You better believe that's a lot of power. I had one of my followers was on vacation in Europe someplace, and she and her husband were trying to enjoy a meal. And there was two people near the door that were going to end up with a fist fight, according to her. So she said to the husband, listen, I know you don't believe in any of this. Do me a favor, visualize these people in an igloo, visualize them under cold water. And she and her husband did it. And within 2 minutes, there was no longer any fighting. Because if you throw a bucket of cold water on somebody, they're not going to be fighting anymore. We know that. Well, how did that happen? Well, water puts out fire. So does earth. You could throw earth at them, but that's a little bit more complicated. So I'm a happy camper. We have the astronauts back. And I think that we all need to understand that we are in a place and a time in which the people on the planet are dividing into two, and there's a group of people where things are going really well, and they're getting what they want. They may not have it this minute, but they know that they're going to get it. And then you have this other group of people, and we could call them Republican and Democrats, but that's not the point at all, because a lot of Democrats are quitting and moving over to the type of attitudes that the Republicans apparently have had because they're not satisfied. The labels are not important. The point of the matter is that we are right now in a country, in a world where there's these two groups of people, some of which have kind of figured something out, and they're more authentic. They're more aligned with what's really important. They're not just following a storyline or what somebody else said. And we've got the other group of people that are really frustrated. And remember that the Mayans said that our subpersonalities, which means our subconscious aspects of us that are in our subconscious, is going to come up. Why are they in our subconscious? Because we couldn't deal with it. And a lot of it had to do with ugly stuff that we did. And until you take care of that, you're vulnerable. And unfortunately, right now, the wall, other dimensionally, that kept our subconscious separate from our consciousness to where we could hide all the traumas that happened to us, the traumatic things that we did, that wall gone. It's called revelations. What's in our subconscious is being revealed. And according to the Mayans in the Geopolitical prophecy, we're not going to be happy when we see. When I did my therapy process with traditional psychologists in the 90s, what I told my psychologist was, when I started to have these memories, oh my God, I said, you know what? We need to work on the stuff that I did as a mind control victim that was bad, that I was instructed to do. Oh, it's not my fault. I know that. But I said, I cannot live with this. So before we deal with what people did to me, which is what my therapist wanted me to concentrate on, I said, no. We need to deal with what it was that I did per instructions, under hypnosis, under threats. It doesn't matter. I can't live with this. That's what the Mayans were talking about. People can't live with it, and they're not getting any help. So we need to educate them. So I'm going to go ahead, and I think I'm not going to be doing the mantras during this chat because this gets converted into a podcast, and then the podcast, doing 10 minutes of mantras doesn't really help the people that are listening in their cars. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to give you a healing. No charge. And I'm looking. That's why I'm winding down, disconnecting from you and connecting to you in the other dimensions. Where you really need a healing is in the left foot. The left foot is associated with the left leg, which is the leg and foot that channels female energy, the female energy of wisdom. We're limping. This has been several days already. But you're not going to be able to feel what I'm doing. I'm going to help you, but you're not going to be able to feel it. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over and I'm going to do a healing in the back of your heart center, which you can take your breath to the back part of your body, where if you were female, where you would put the strap for your bra, right there. So go ahead. You can have your eyes open. You can have your eyes closed. Check your breath. And so I'm going to give you a healing now, and I will tell you at what point there's a breakthrough, and I'll tell you to check yourself and see if your breathing is not easier. Okay? So I'm going to start that right now. So Frances Fox is going to use her superpower, and I'm going to heal you, those who are here, but also those who look at this chat later. How can you do that? You can do so much in the other dimensions. I was also astounded because I had a lot of people when I started these chats who would say, I can't be in your chats live. I'm working. Do these work as well when I see them as a, what do you call it? A rerun, whatever? I said, I don't know. Why don't you guys tell me? And then everybody would say, it's just the same as being there. Even though the chat was 2 days ago or 2 months ago, whatever it is I was doing during the chat, the person that was viewing it would receive the healing. So here we go. So my mantra, which I'm going to do, you don't have to do. Please God help me with my intention to create a miraculous purification of the blockages in the back of the heart chakra. And I'm going to be repeating that in my head. It's interesting. This is when I do this for my group, which is when I usually do it, the back of the heart chakra is much cleaner than what I'm seeing with this group. Maybe that makes sense. I don't know, but let me continue and just take your breath there and auto analyze your breath from 1 to 10. Where is it at? You're probably going to say, no, it's fine. It's like 5 or 6 or whatever. It's so sweet. Some dolphins showed up to help. They say they're helping me because I'm tired. Isn't that sweet? I actually have had, when I do my workshops at night, which is not really a workshop, you pay and I do the healing. The masters in the last several weeks have said to me, why don't you just go ahead and just stand and watch what we're doing? But I'm such a control freak that I would try to do it myself, and they'd say, just watch what we're doing. Just rest, watch what we're doing. So dolphins have shown up and they are working on you. I see my neck relaxed. Can you feel the relaxation? It's like my body just went like this. Less tension. Okay. Okay. I did it. You notice my voice is softer. My shoulders are not like this. I'm just like much more relaxed. How do you feel? I don't know if anybody wants to volunteer how they're feeling. Could you feel the difference? See, I'm able to take deeper breaths. It's interesting. In the back of the heart chakra, in the conduit that's there, there's a ball, a black ball of something, but I'm removing it. We we don't really know what we are, who we are, human beings, but that black ball is a congestion from when we were um, 13 years old. So we were all programmed for something, or something happened when we were 13, and it created a depression and a congestion of depression in the heart chakra. And that has now come out of the back of the heart chakra. So you no longer have that congestion in the conduits and in the organ of your heart. Okay, so today, tonight, tomorrow, see if you feel better. And if you did, well, you just witnessed a superpower. But I want for you to have these superpowers. And you can have them because humans are scheduled to access superpowers, which is in the third eye at this point in written human history. Okay? So then that's it. Thank you for joining me. And let's continue to congratulate Elon for rescuing the astronauts. And let's continue to support Trump in revelations. Why? Because the planet is in the cycle of revelations. Um, that's good, Vero. You're releasing in Revelations. Oh, darn, I lost my train of thought because I was happy that Vero says that she's crying, which means she's releasing stuff. Okay. We are in Revelations. This is the cycle the planet is in, which means we're working with what's supposed to be happening now. And that gives an awful lot of protection. Okay? Thank you for joining me. Bye.